Cranes are a common and important piece of machinery used for material handling on many construction sites. A laborer's day-to-day job activities often involve working with a crane. While lifting a load with a crane may appear to be a simple task, a safe lift is actually the result of careful planning and the use of proper procedure. As with many other tasks, wearing the proper personal protective equipment is very important when conducting rigging operations. Always wear your hard hat for protection from elevated loads. Safety glasses should always be worn. Wearing a good pair of gloves is important. Burrs that develop on wire rope can be razor sharp. A sturdy pair of boots is also very important to protect against a load accidentally landing on your foot. Steel-toed boots are a good idea. One thing to be considered when planning a pick is the location of the crane in relation to the weight, starting point, and destination of the load to be lifted. A mobile crane might need to be moved to an area in order to be in the correct location to complete the lift. Laborers are sometimes called upon to help set up the crane. The laborer can help make sure there are no power lines or other overhead obstructions in the swing area of the crane. Help the operator set the outriggers to their full length. Put the outrigger pads on. Place any necessary blocking under the outrigger pads. And set up barriers to keep personnel out of the swing area of the crane. Before a lift is made, the rigger should always talk to the operator about the lift which they are about to make, so they can both be sure about the destination of the load, the direction of the swing, and how the signaling will be accomplished. The rigger will need to select the proper rigging for the load to be moved. In order to choose the correct size and type of rigging, the laborer needs to know a few things about the load. First, the weight of the object to be lifted must be known. The weight can sometimes be found marked on the object. It's also important to find the center of gravity of the load to be lifted in order to ensure that it will be balanced when it is lifted. This can often be done by simply measuring the load to determine the center point, but must sometimes be calculated mathematically for uneven loads, since their center of gravity will probably not be in their measured center. Sometimes the manufacturer of a piece of equipment has designated pick points, and these will be strong enough to attach the rigging to, and will keep the load in balance when they are used. When the weight of the load and its center of gravity or pick points are known, a laborer can look at a rigger's reference card to make sure that the rigging selected will have enough capacity to handle the weight and rigging configuration. Each component of the rigging selected must be carefully inspected for defects or excessive wear before it's used. Any component that doesn't pass this inspection should be destroyed and discarded. The rigging used might include wire rope slings, synthetic slings, shackles, or other types of rigging components, many of which may be used in combination with each other. Whatever rigging or combination of rigging is used, its combined weight must be added to the load's weight, and it must be of a size and strength that will be able to handle the weight of the load and not allow it to slip. There are many common rigging methods. A single leg hitch is basically a straight up and down attachment with a sling from the hook of a crane to a pick point on a load. Multi-leg bridle hitches are made from more than one sling connecting in a straight line, but at an angle from the hook of the crane to pick points on the load. These hitches also often require shackles or hooks to attach to the load, but may also need a shackle or collector ring where they attach to the hook to avoid overcrowding the hook. A single basket hitch is made by passing a sling around the object to be lifted and hooking both eyes to the hook. If a double basket hitch is used, the slings should be spread far enough apart to balance the load, but close enough together so that the sling angle is 60 degrees or greater. A double wrap basket hitch wraps completely around the load instead of just passing under it. Using 2 double wrap basket hitchers is a good way to rig loads of loose cylindrical materials. One of the most common hitches used in the construction industry is the choker hitch. A single choker hitch is used occasionally, but since it doesn't offer a great deal of load control, double choker hitches are more common. There are some important safety issues to keep in mind when using the double choker hitch. Since the rated capacities for slings decreases as the sling angle decreases, the sling angle cannot be less than 30 degrees. But some companies don't allow a sling angle of less than 45 degrees. And of course, a sling angle of 60 degrees or greater is the safest to use. A quick way to make certain of a 60-degree angle in the field is to lay the sling down along the load from its attachment point. As long as the other attachment point is not further away than the end of the sling angles will be 60 degrees or greater. When choker hitches are used, the rigger should not beat down the eye that the length of the choker passes through. While it may seem that this will give the hitch a better grip, it will actually cause a decrease in the sling's capacity. If a better grip on the load is required, a double wrap choker hitch should be used. 2 double wrap choker hitches are the best sling configuration for very long loose bundles. No matter which type of rigging configuration is used, the weight of the rigging components used must be included in the total weight of the load. After the proper rigging components have been attached, a tagline should be attached to the load before it is lifted. The tagline should be long enough so that the person landing the load can grab it in plenty of time to control the load on the way down, but not so long that it becomes entangled in objects while the load is being swung. Before the load is lifted and swung, the rigger must make sure that anyone who is in the path of the load's swing gets out of the way. A load should never be swung over a person's head. After the route of the swing has been cleared, the rigger should signal the operator to lift the load a few inches off the ground, and then check the rigging to see if the load is balanced and make sure all connection points are properly seated. If there are any problems with the rigging at all, the load should be immediately set back down and the rigging adjusted until everything is correct. After the rigging has been checked, the rigger should signal the load toward its destination. When the load reaches its destination, it can be controlled and carefully landed by the person or people there. Dunnage should be used as necessary, so the slings will be easy to remove. In review, a rigger should know the weight of the load to be lifted, know the center of gravity of the load, select rigging based on the weight of the load and where the attachment points will be, carefully inspect the rigging to be used, attach a tagline to the load, make a test lift to check the rigging, use proper signals to direct the operator, and carefully control and land the load when it reaches its destination. A rigger should not allow any part of the crane or rigging to come too close to electric lines. Use defective rigging. Allow a load to be lifted over other workers, or stand under a raised load at any time. While moving equipment and material on a job site with a crane can be a common occurrence, it's always potentially dangerous. But if proper procedure is followed by everyone involved in the effort, it can be accomplished safely every time.